You know Taco Bell, right? You know Taco Bell, right? Ever wonder how a fake Mexican taco chain outplayed burger giants and ended up with Americans loving it?
In the 1950s, fast food in America was already a war zone. McDonald's was scaling like a machine. Hamburgers were king, and anyone entering the space had two choices: compete head-on or find a gap nobody else noticed. Glenn Bell was just another guy in the burger and hot dog business, and he realized something. He wasn't going to beat McDonald's by doing what everyone else was doing, so he stopped copying and started scanning for what Americans weren't being sold yet. In San Bernardino, he saw something that other fast food operators in San Bernardino were ignoring: small, local Mexican restaurants. Places like Mitla Cafe. Lines were always long. Not because people were chasing authenticity, but because the food was good and the demand was real.
The catch? It wasn't scalable. Everything was handmade, cooked to order, and slow. Bell didn't see romance in that. He saw inefficiency. If burgers could be industrialized, tacos could be turned into a fast food product. He reverse engineered the idea, not to preserve tradition, but to mass produce it.
Yes. He took apart the concept not to sustain custom, but to produce it en masse. Shells, pre-fried shells, fast fillings, assembly instead of cooking. Speed over heritage, and Mexican communities didn't see it as the real thing because it wasn't. But they weren't his target. Bell wasn't trying to impress the people who already had access to authentic tacos. He was aiming at the majority who didn't. No Spanish, no cultural pressure, just a format Americans could grab without thinking.
Fast over tradition.
Before the Taco Bell name existed, he launched and sold multiple test runs. Taco Tia, El Taco, earlier stands. Most people would call that failure or inconsistency. Bell treated each one like a paid experiment. He wasn't trying to run a restaurant for life. He was building a model other people could operate. In 1962, the first official Taco Bell opened in Downey, California. No indoor seating, no drive-through, 5 items on the menu. It didn't look like the start of anything massive, but Bell understood the real business wasn't the food. It was franchising. You don't build wealth by flipping patties. You build it by selling a system. By 1967, there were already over 100 Taco Bells, not because tacos suddenly became sacred, but because franchise owners saw low overhead, cheap ingredients, and room to scale. The people eating there weren't obsessing over authenticity. They were broke, busy, or up late: students, shift workers, road travelers. McDonald's closed earlier and targeted families. Taco Bell unintentionally became the place for everyone outside that picture. Then came the move that changed the trajectory: Pepsi. By the late 70s, Coca-Cola had locked down drink contracts with almost every major fast food chain. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all Coke. Pepsi couldn't force their way in by negotiating, so they changed the play. Instead of fighting for placement, they would buy their way.
And in 1978, PepsiCo acquired Taco Bell for $125 million.
Not because of some love for tacos, but because the chain gave Pepsi guaranteed fountain distribution. Every new Taco Bell became another outlet pouring Pepsi instead of Coke.
But the Pepsi story gets even stranger when you look at what was happening around that time.
The Soviet Union was falling apart. Their currency, rubles, was basically unusable outside their borders. You couldn't exchange it for dollars anymore because the government that backed it didn't exist. Inside the former Soviet territories, rubles still circulated, but internationally, worthless.
And yet, they still wanted Pepsi.
So what could they do? We'll buy your Pepsi with our navy. What does that even mean? We have frigates, we have submarines, we have destroyers. We'll trade them for Pepsi. Pepsi's reaction? Okay. Pepsi actually took ownership of Soviet military vessels for a moment. These weren't shiny new weapons. They were older Soviet ships the world had no use for. But the barter happened. When the USSR fully collapsed, Pepsi needed stronger footing in the West to balance the chaos. Expanding American brands they owned, Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, helped cement their position.
Now, here's where Taco Bell stopped being just a franchise and became a cultural fixture. They didn't try to look respectable. They leaned into what actually worked.
Taco Bell created something only they could own: fourth meal, late night food, after midnight. They knew their base, people who were hungry when other places were closed. Instead of pretending to be family friendly, They claimed the hours nobody else wanted. It turned them into the unofficial restaurant of insomniacs, stoners, gamers, students, night shift workers, people who don't show up in McDonald's commercials. Then there were the Super Bowl plays. While other brands tried to look clever or heartwarming, Taco Bell wasn't aiming at the people hosting watch parties with charcuterie boards. They went after the ones on a couch with $5 and no plan. Cheap, hunchy ads, no elegance. They marketed to the people who already ate their food, not the people pretending they didn't.
And then came one of the smartest zero-risk stunts they ever pulled, built around the Mir space station.
Back then, the station was falling out of orbit after years in service. Nobody knew exactly where the debris would land. Some people thought it'd burn up over the ocean. Others joked it might crash into something important. Taco Bell didn't try to sound scientific. They just saw a tension on the table.
So they floated a giant floating target out in the Pacific and said, basically, if Mir hits this thing, everyone in America gets a free taco. They insured the whole idea with Lloyd's of London. They knew it wouldn't hit. No risk, all press. News outlets covered it for free because it was so absurd and perfectly on brand. Bold, unserious, and cheap to execute.
Over time, their menu didn't evolve toward tradition. It evolved toward memory. Doritos Locos Tacos, Baja Blast, the Mexican pizza disappearing and then coming back because people wouldn't shut up about it. None of that was authentic.
I'm about to explode. Bathroom time. Next time.
Next time, we'll talk about the ski resort that proved capitalism.
Subscribe so you don't miss it.